I have laid eggs inside of your brain.
Get them out of my head.
I have brain control over you. Pew, 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 pew.
You invite idiots to dinner and make fun of them?
Yeah.
That's messed up.
So, we're talking about dinner for schmucks.
And I'm still hungry.
I think only two of us will be talking about the latter part of this film. Because this movie made you guys run the fuck out of town.
Bounced.
It wasn't just the movie. To be fair, it really was that there were some technical issues that were just really difficult to sit through going on at our particular screening.
Honestly, you know what? It bugged me at first, but then I just kind of forgot it. It's like, you know what? I can still see what's going on, so I'm going to go with it.
You were the one telling me you can't even watch DVD anymore now that you got a Blu-ray player, and that didn't drive you crazy?
Well, the thing is that if it were like special effects driven, oh fuck yeah.
Well, it would have been impossible.
They would have had to just close down that
I think
screen.
what it is like when we saw Cats and Dogs, you know how like the screen was only magenta and green, and then even they had this 3D reverse where it made you nauseous. Mm-hmm. So compared to that, I'm like, all right, well, it just looks like a home movie from the 70s.
What we're talking about here tonight at the screening that we saw, it was like watching this movie in the dark.
Yeah, imagine your average projector had two bulbs, and then this was one where only one of them was working, because it was just really that dim. There were some scenes, if it was filmed at night, you couldn't see anything.
And I know a lot of y'all are used to downloading copies that were made from somebody's video camera sitting in the theater and then recopied a second time. But for us, we are used to a higher echelon quality of film.
It was like that shithead that sits behind you who thinks he's so cool that he constantly has to wear sunglasses wherever he goes. Yeah. It's like if you were him for one day, being in that theater, that's how that film looked.
I didn't want to be a shithead. I just want to see a movie.
Well, too late.
And
maybe it was in douche vision.
And maybe it was in douche vision.
Brought to you in douche vision.
But this was like, if it had been a halfway decent movie, I wouldn't have gotten up and left. It was just that I had gotten to the point that I just couldn't stand it anymore. I was like, not only is this irritating me from the get-go, but it's just a fucking crappy movie, and I don't need to subject myself to this.
Yeah, well, I'm going to, you know what?
We were 3/4 of the way through it, though, at that point.
I think we're halfway through
it.
Right?
You were halfway.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably not going to even give a review for this movie because I was not liking it because, Cyrus and I, we're not going to hide the fact that we got up and just walked out. I looked over at Cyrus and the movie got to a point where I just like, man, fuck this. I said, it's bad enough that the movie has hit this point where I'm hating everybody in it, but I can't see this shit. Yeah. And so I was like, what's the point? I'm tired.
Man, I had already told you, man. I turned to Corey. I was like, man, I don't know how much more of this I can take. Like 5 minutes later, he just got up, and I was like, I'm coming. Let's go.
Corey does like to slip out. He'll walk out of a movie and not say to anybody, I'm walking out. You think, oh, he's going to the bathroom.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Leon going, well, look at those two pussies.
Really?
Honestly, Coach and I were baffled because it's like, guys, we've sat through way worse.
No, we have.
It was the combination, like we said, it's a combination of it being a really bad movie and the fact that it was such a bad visual going on.
Okay, I buy that.
Once again, the director Jay Roach, who apparently can't make movies that I like. I know everyone else seems to like his movies, like the Austin Powers series and the Meet the Parents series, but they just don't appeal to me because it's always people like who would never ever in a billion years act that way in real life, and other people putting up with their bullshit who would never ever put up with someone acting that way.
Well, Corey, tell us what the movie is about.
Okay, well,
your patented Coleman synopsis.
Well, up until the point he saw.
I saw enough to give you a premise, which is all you need. Can't ruin the whole movie for everybody out there. No, we have Paul Rudd, who plays an aspiring executive named Tim, and he's at this company where he has this grand idea, but no one wants to give him a chance, except this idea is good enough to where he's going to get moved up from the 6th floor to the prestigious 7th floor, where all the high executives are. Now, when he gets there, he's put with a moral dilemma. They tell him, like, hey, look, you want to be on with the in crowd here on the 7th floor. We have this dinner where we invite brilliant people, brilliant meaning idiots, and they bring them there and they make fun of these people. It's a cruel joke is what they do. We've all been invited to this party as the guests, so we know what they're talking about.
Hey, Spill.com.
Yeah, Spill.com. We invited you to have dinner with us, the idiots.
I'm the one who throws the dinner party. Fuck you, co-host. You're just mad because you found out when you were my guest, you got all pissed.
What? I throw that goddamn party right out the window.
Welcome, co-host. We have a side of a dumbass here for you, but
I don't want it.
You got it.
He's not. If he wants this this promotion. He has to appeal to his bosses by going to this dinner, but going home to his hot French girlfriend. She was French, right? She had an accent. I don't know. She could be Mexican.
I couldn't identify.
European. We'll just say that. But she says, you're going to a dinner where you laugh at people? That's cruel. I don't want to be with a guy who behaves like that. I don't know you anymore. You know, like typical bitch.
You know,
Whatever.
it's ironic in as much as like this is a remake of a French movie.
Yeah, so
she was totally fronting.
Well, what was cruel was him making her boyfriend have to hang out with that annoying artist that she was promoting.
Who was an idiot himself. She's an idiot.
Which really, he could have like, why not just take this guy?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, you got this guy right here.
Schmuck than the other guy.
But that guy gets laid. Now, the thing is, he's listening to it and he's saying, all right, you know what? Baby, I'm going to find a way out of this. But
he wasn't going.
But he wasn't going to do it. No, and it's only like when the hand of God comes in to fuck with him. He's driving his car. He runs into this guy who happens to be a fucking retard. It's a guy who makes models out of little dead mice.
Not natural.
Which is
Steve Carell.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Actually, he was talented.
Yeah, he was super talented. He's an idiot savant.
But he's a way more idiot than savant.
Yeah.
The guy named Barry, and Barry.
Any guy named Barry is bad. I'm convinced.
Well, he's a guy who's like so fucked up he couldn't possibly function in real life, like have a job and deal with regular people. He's like stupid to the point you're like, no one is that dumb and knows how to remember how to breathe.
This
and
Homer
work.
Simpson.
But the thing is, it was very realistic
real.
because he worked for the IRS. So,
Yeah.
Well, that I think was part of the joke, but even so, come on.
Well,
man.
no, I think a bunch of retarded people work for the
Yeah,
IRS. So
especially when they're dealing with your taxes.
Yeah, exactly. That was the most realistic part of the movie.
Man, if people that were trying to work for the IRS, I'd be saving a lot more money.
Yeah. Well, Tim, he says, I found gold right here. There's no way I can pass this up. This was meant to be. Except that he has to deal with this guy until the dinner comes along, and this guy is so mentally ill. I mean, yeah, he's
stalking him.
Yeah, he will not.
Bob?
He will not go away. He has attached himself to the guy, and he starts to slowly ruin any opportunity in his life, whether it be with his girlfriend who's already upset with him, to possibly getting his promotion. And that's why I walked out.
It kills me that you walked out because I'm like, this is Corey. This is what you do. Like these socially retarded people, you collect them and let them hang out with you all the time.
That wasn't even half of it. We have always make the joke, oh, it's the Corey Coleman story. We probably used that joke 20 times on Spill. But this more than ever. Because they're like, oh my God. Because I even turned to Corey, he's like, holy shit, it is you. With being friends with Steve Carell's character. He's like, yeah. And then a little later on, you meet one of his, Paul Rudd's ex-girlfriends. Who's been stalking him for years, and she is a world-class lunatic. I was like, holy shit, it really is.
She is fucking Fatal Attraction. Yeah.
It's an actress named Lucy Punch who plays the role of Darla. And I was looking at her, and he turned to me, and he's just kind of like, man, this really is your story. I was like, man, fuck you. Well, shit, you got a point. God damn. I was just telling Leon about some chick that I used to go out with tonight. That was like, yeah, it's fucking crazy, whatever. I even got cats that come to my house that are crazy. The cat that came in and pissed on me, I was like, I can't argue with you there. I got animals who are fucking retarded coming into my house. We got one right here.
Yeah.
You just keep encouraging them.
And you even managed to find some that will remodel your entire house after 2 years.
Oh man, what about? Oh shit, what are you talking about? I have my own movie with Raymond.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought. I was like, wow, this Steve Carell is.
Get out of this.
Yeah.
Corey,
because I lived it. That's why.
It is funny how there's a lot of movies we see every so often that you get pissed off at. You give some old bullshit, and we're all looking at each other like, dude, that's so your life.
I
It's
know.
Like, they just struck a chord with you that you couldn't.
It's like Corey is looking into the mirror of his life right now, and he doesn't like it.
Because I already know I made a mistake. I don't need
to be reminded of it. Yeah, I hate myself. Goddamn, I need to see
a dog. You got to put my face in my own poop. What is
I know.
that?
I don't need to see this shit on the big screen. What you talking about? I see this shit every day. No, but really, what got to me in this movie. Now, I will admit, first 20 minutes, man, I was loving it. I was laughing so hard.
And the thing is, all the jokes actually work. In the first 15, 20 minutes of the movie, I mean, you're getting introduced to Paul Rudd's character, and you see the guy's he's really wanting to move up after one of his buddies or somebody they knew just got fired. You can tell he sort of is somewhat compassionate, the fact that this guy that he was friends or knew was fired. So there's a part of him that you actually like. They don't portray him as a jerk from the get-go. But when he runs into these friends of his, I mean, it's actually it honestly kind of reminded me of The Office, as far as just there's a lot of quirky characters that you meet in this office, but the problem is you don't really stick around with them for too long.
True.
That's the problem with this movie for me. There's a setup for it, and the setup for this movie is the dinner that they're talking about. You're waiting to meet all these so-called idiots that they're going to bring to this dinner, and you want to see what they're like because you know that they're going to be so eccentric and stupid that they're going to make you laugh. But to get to that point of the dinner, there is a whole middle part. It is just one silly incident after another, and what makes it worse, it is also full of situations gone wrong that are so cliche.
Or agonizing to watch play out because you're going, you've already set up Paul Rudd to us as Joe Normal, as the avatar for the audience. The guy like, hey, we're all in a job that we're like, we know we could do better and we want to do right by people. We want to do the right thing. You know, they put you in his shoes. They give him moral quandary and you're like, okay, I can get this. I can identify with this guy. But then they set him up with Steve Carell in the series as, like you said, totally pointless encounters where you're just watching him put up with this guy, just letting it go on when it could have been over in 5 minutes easily, as any person would have ended it. But no, the movie is calculated to keep them together in this series of retarded scenarios.
Sarge, I think you called it with the Jay Roach factor, because for me, the big problem with those Meet the Fockers and Meet the Parents movies is that, okay, sure, you got a good premise here, but it's like a lot of situations where anybody in real life would come in and say something. Like Ben Stiller would say to his girlfriend, like, hey, your dad's kind of beating me up over here. You want to step in and say something or else I'm going to leave. And this is a situation where it's a great setup for that 20 minutes. You know, it's even got like a little bit of a mean streak to it, but it's really funny. He meets up with Steve Carell, which you think is going to lift the movie, and yet that's where it starts to go downhill.
Enormously lazy.
Because the stuff they write for him to do is just too silly. The situations are too extreme to where there is no one who wouldn't stop and say, like, hey, dude, you have to leave, and I'm not taking no as an answer.
Yeah.
Or when somebody's interrupting a business dinner that he knows his future's built on, would just stop and say to everybody, look, this is what's going on. Let me call the cops or get these people out of here. Yeah. Business had to be taken care of. And because it doesn't do that, it pops you out of the movie.
Yeah. And the thing with Steve Carell's character is that in the beginning, I actually found myself liking that character. I didn't know how ridiculous it was going to get until, like, it seemed like every joke that, at least at the beginning when you're introduced to him, I mean, you do find something likable about him. The guy, like, does these dioramas involving these mice. This there's usually a
like
female.
Dead mice, like
dead mice, taxidermy. Yeah, he's like a taxidermist. But he'll set up these dioramas with these, like, really beautiful scenes of these mice, like, having a picnic in a park. You know, he even did a funny one where he did, like, The Last Supper involving all these mice and Jesus, where you're like, wow, this guy's, like, really into it. He's extremely talented. You have something that you can like about the guy, but it's when the movie starts to fall into this snowball effect where each joke started to get more ridiculous than the one prior, and it seems like the snowball effect happens so much in the center of the movie, it really loses you because it gets so chaotic and they're just throwing jokes at you. And the thing is, there's a few jokes that I was laughing at, but there would be a joke that would be so excruciatingly painful that I honestly didn't, when you guys were running out of the theater, I almost didn't blame you because it was like a small fire that got just out of control.
Yeah. Well, they kept trying to, like, make you, like, at least slightly like Steve Carell by introducing characters who were even worse and more cartoonish and impossible than he was. And just a steadily increasing set of them, like Zach Galifianakis, where you're like, okay, I like this actor. Why is he playing this totally retarded character in this that is not... it's not even mildly plausible in real life.
And the scene where they introduce him is completely flat.
Oh completely flat.
It's
just
flat,
irritating to watch.
Well, and Paul Rudd, he's being the Ben Stiller, Jason Biggs, where they go like, we have to make him a nice guy, but their movie definition of a nice guy is somebody who's completely run over and never speaks up for himself. You can be nice and still say like, hey guys, this needs to stop.
He doesn't speak up for himself at all. And his situations that seem like they're so easy to do now. They're just setups for things to go wrong, and some people might like the predictability of them. I don't. Maybe I've seen them too much. He breaks up with his girlfriend just so that they can, like, throw in funny stuff of somebody messing up where he could actually get back with his girlfriend. They set up this whole thing of him about to get a promotion just to see how Steve Carell can come in and screw up this promotion. And you predict everything that's going to go wrong with it.
Where are you from?
We are from Switzerland.
Barry, you know what? We're going to focus on business right
Switzerland. I love Switzerland. It is one of my favorite countries. I love your army knives with the toothpicks and your cheese. Does the cheese come out of the cow with the holes? Our countries are not enemies. They are friends. We are friends.
You have been to Switzerland?
No, but I have a friend who drives a Volvo, and I speak a little of your language. Heard if he said there, tired of heard if heard boo.
Yeah, well, and they also happen to throw in the villain of the movie, who is like Steve Rudd's girlfriend, is also works for this guy who you could tell he's into her. I can't remember.
Jermaine Clement from the
Jermaine Clement,
Flight of Conchords.
Where it's like I've seen that character before so many times, and in this one, the comedy kind of falls flat on him too at times.
Makes you think of the Gentleman Broncos character.
It does. Exactly. It really does.
Which is not a good idea.
Right. Now here's the thing: like you guys got up and left, and Cole said we sort of couldn't blame you. I mean, it's not the worst we've seen, but it was pretty bad at that point, and it seems like it's unrecoverable. But I just wasn't thinking about leaving just because, well, okay, look, it's dinner for schmucks. I've seen it's going to be the dinner. I want to see where the dinner's going to go. And maybe if that starts out bad, I'm out of here too. But the thing is, like, right before he gets there, you guys got up and left, a little bit more the bullshit, and then we get to a scene where they kept wanting to have tender moments that fell flat, but they had one genuine one with Steve Carell working on his mice stuff. And it comes to you where it's like the one part that had real heart because he's dealing with the trauma of his wife leaving him, and that's how he expresses himself.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, it's very quiet. They don't really like hit you over the head with it, but it just kind of hits you like, wow, this is actually profound, and a movie built around this would be good. Once you come out of that, they go into the dinner. And the dinner is a good payoff. Like whoever did the first 20 minutes did the last 20 minutes. Yeah. Because the other idiots and morons they have there, they are hilarious.
That last part of the movie felt like almost an apology letter for what we saw before. It seemed like completely different writers took over. And that one scene that you're describing where you see him working on his mice, it is a very profound moment because that scene right there was like the big heart of the film. And you honestly really looked at that character and was like, wow, this guy whatever relationship he has was extremely tragic to him.
Yeah.
And it kind of created who he is. And you could tell that he knows that. He knows he's a fuck up. He even says like, part of me died.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, well, what?
Yeah, it's like, how is this in this?
What part was that? His brain? Because
that's the whole thing is like the guy is patently just stupid as shit and an asshole in his stupidity. You're like, wow, you're the most inconsiderate person.
But regardless of that,
I don't blame your wife for leaving you.
I don't blame you, but regardless of that, I mean, if that scene really showed that, he really did care and love for this woman. And what's good about that is that, as soon as the dinner scene happens and you meet the rest of the crazy crew of people, which is really, that is like the biggest payoff of this film.
It is,
when they get to the actual dinner.
People.
Yeah. And when they get to the actual dinner, you're like, wow, if this were a short, this would be the greatest short ever. Because just the crazy characters. There's a guy who comes in with a vulture. I mean, there's a comedian. I can't remember his name.
Jeff Dunham with the ventriloquist.
And he comes in with his dummy.
I hate
Wait a minute, Jeff Dunham, the one with Peanut?
Yeah, I know. I hate Jeff Dunham. I didn't even recognize it was him. But
I didn't know who he was.
He had a dummy who was like his wife.
His ex-wife.
Like his ex-wife who had her tits out and was like just calling him like a no-dick motherfucker the whole time, flirting with the other people there.
Yeah.
And it was like a hilarious routine. I was like, man, Jeff Dunham should do this all the time because normally I can't stand him.
Yeah. Every time he was on screen, it was hilarious. But the crazy thing is that the effect of that film being so dark is that when you see that ventriloquist dummy, it looked like a real person. It looked like that girl from Brazil with the stretched face. Where you're just like, as soon as I saw that, I went, holy fuck! What the hell is that?
You know what y'all talking about, a dummy? How do you know that wasn't a midget? It was so dark.
But you know what? That's the thing.
But you don't know.
You don't know.
At first you think don't
know. Yeah, because you're like, wow, is this like a Batman villain hanging out or what?
Shit, that could have been a midget hooker that Jeff Dunham picked up.
That's what it looks like.
But I tell you what, that scene though, really, I mean, that scene is so great because you run into these characters that are just insane, but at the same time, it really pays off because you see Steve Carell do his presentation. And it's honestly, it's pretty damn funny. It really won me over.
And by that time, like with the other scene, you actually like you genuinely feel for him, whereas before you didn't. You just like, this guy is too stupid to live, and I want him out of my life, and I want him out of this film. And if I can't get him out of this film, then I'm gonna leave.
Yeah. This guy is a danger to everybody. On top of that, this guy takes dead mice and does taxidermy on them and puts them in little suits. We know that anybody in the movie who does taxidermy, they're psychopath. There's human bodies somewhere not far in reach.
Now, you know there's legitimate taxidermy places all over.
There's one down your street
Do you
here.
know any of those guys?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you friends with those guys?
I don't trust taxidermists, much less retarded taxidermists.
How do you feel about embalmers and funeral directors?
Yeah. They're cool.
Corey's going to have himself turned into a ventriloquist dummy.
You know we're going to get at least one person on the comments going, fuck you, I'm a taxidermist.
I have to say, I'm a taxidermist, and I've never stuffed but only one human being in my life.
Crew has no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
My mother's propped up in my room, and she keeps me company every day.
What's that, mother?
I want to stuff all those assholes.
Write a comment, son.
So what you're saying as far as dinner for schmucks goes, have the appetizer and the dessert skip the main course.
Pretty much. Yeah. That's it exactly.
Because I will tell you that in the middle of it, that's what really pissed me off, is that there was no connecting point or a connection of points that led to what this dinner was, because that's what I wanted to see.
You're absolutely right.
The movie just stopped and just said, you know what, we're just going to do a bunch of unfunny, stupid gags because we don't know what else to do at this point.
Because when it starts, you're like, okay, while from the trailers this looked like a terrible and kind of ugly premise for a film, you are kind of selling me on this being maybe an interesting character movie. But then it turns into a typical Jay Roach film. Like, we're not even fucking trying. It's just a series of set pieces of the same old, basically Jerry Lewis type of stuff going on.
Well, this is based on a French film called, what's it called? Yeah, the Dinner Game.
Imagine if you could take out the entire middle.
This movie was made back. It was a play called The Dinner Game, made back in 1998. And when I looked that up and saw it, I was like, "Oh, those Jerry Lewis loving motherfuckers! Of course they would love some shit like this." You know?
And I could tell you another reason to have been worried about it was like this title, Dinner for Schmucks. They almost came up with that at the last minute. It was titled something else for a long time
because it is so many things other than that dinner.
Lunch for assholes.
Wasting my fucking time is what it should have been called.
Breakfast for douchebags.
Dinner for shitheads.
Because let me give you an example of one of the scenes that means nothing. We mentioned what's his name? Zach Galifianakis. Yeah, he plays Steve Carell's boss at the IRA. They go there. It doesn't even make any sense. I mean, the IRA, that's the Irish Republican Army.
That would have been a better movie.
You know what? They might as well at this point. What difference would it make?
It was a dark movie, all right?
I can tell you that, that is one of the biggest payoffs that, you think, that was just a dumb scene, but it really ties.
Well, let me tell you what the scene's about. Yeah, they go, that's his boss at the IRS, and they go there, and they just waste this about 5-minute scene on Zach Galifianakis looking at Steve Carell saying, "I can control your mind. Say you love the pudding. Say you love the pudding." Now, to be granted, I didn't see what the payoff of that joke was. I don't know if that was like some foreshadowing or something great.
It was. And you almost forget like a lot of the details of that scene, but they really do work it later.
Okay.
It does.
That's why I'm not giving a rating here. I'm not saying anything. It just caught me at a bad point. I was upset at the theater because it was filmed in shittle-vision. And
Look, I mean, I'll just come out with it. You know, you got the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes that are a good solid matinee.
Okay.
And then you got an hour in between that's some old bullshit.
So how does that work out?
So I would just average it as a rental.
Okay.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm going to go with the rental too because despite the big mess that was that middle part, a lot of things do pay off with that last scene.
Yeah.
With the big dinner scene, and it had me rolling over laughing that entire scene. I mean, there's a woman in there who's like a psychic who can read what dead animals were saying before they died, and it during that dinner scene with the lobsters, I was cracking up. I mean, and just that ventriloquist, that in itself could have been its own movie.
It could have.
I mean, honestly,
don't say that out loud, man.
You know
there's already an executive going, we should put Jeff Dunham
they should, because it would have been a great idea. It'd be a great idea.
The Carrot Top movie.
I've been seeing Jeff Dunham in a lot of things, just doing cameos. He was on 30 Rock and play. Clearly, he's got like a new agency that's trying to push him and get him out.
Yeah, Jeff Dunham he's had a lot of things. He had a show on Comedy Central, which was actually not all that funny.
No, I've never liked, I liked the guy in this movie, and like, man, that guy was awesome. I was talking to somebody afterwards. I was like, I would go see this guy. I wish I knew who he was.
Well, if you
that was Jeff Dunham. I was like, what?
Yeah, if you haven't seen Jeff Dunham, you might have seen him and didn't know his name. He has Peanut, the little purple creature that nobody knows about. He has the talking jalapeno. He has the terrorist
Peanut's
who
terrible.
He also has a terrorist that blew himself up and is a skeleton now.
Okay, now you just sold me on that.
Yeah. No, I've actually seen Jeff Dunham stand up, which makes me feel like, fuck, I wish I could have seen the Jeff Dunham part of this movie. I actually think he's really funny.
He was funny in this movie. I mean, like I'd never heard the guy, and he won me over at the end of this film.
Yeah. So, what would you give it, co-host?
I said, I gave it a rental. Like I said, the first part of it works, and the last part, despite the mess. But I mean, I honestly, even during those messy scenes, every once in a while there was a joke that just made me really laugh, and I'm not going to try to deny that. I'm sorry, I laugh at stupid shit a lot of times, but I know there was enough of it to really just keep me interested. And Steve Carell actually. This is his Office character times 10. So if you like that and you want more of that, you may dig it. If not, I mean, because I thought the times when he was being at least genuine and just, when he was basically telling everybody I cared about somebody at one point, that's where he won me over in this movie. It didn't totally make me
Office and like how clueless he is.
It didn't totally make me hate his character in this film, actually.
So you only kind of hated his character in this film.
Up until that one humanizing
part,
scenes, absolutely hated him.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not as soft-hearted as you guys, but I can't imagine they could have done anything that could have recovered from what they had already shown him. A guy that not only was fucking up this other guy's life, but refused to even take responsibility for fucking up this guy's life. I hate that shit. He's like, I just broke up your house and hooked you up with your crazy ex-girlfriend and did all this shit. But you know what? It's not really my fault. It's totally you.
It makes me wonder, how many retarded children do you have buried in your backyard?
Shit, I'm digging some new spots tonight.
Well, you think about it, all the misfits that Corey takes in, at some point they disappear. We never hear from them again.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like nobody knows where Raymond is right now.
I haven't seen him.
Oh no. Best dinner ever.